Hi, and welcome to another installment of Movie Night with Ebba and Linnea. We watched a movie called Starcrash from 1978, starring famous names such as David Hasselhoff and Christopher Plummer. And the other people, you'll never learn their names because they never got famous enough for reasons, as we'll soon discuss, I'm sure.
I suspect the Stella Star, the character, the actress who plays her, I think she might be a porn star, but yeah. She's famous for some, I guess.
Well, I'm sure she was famous enough to get this role. Um, the main man character, I don't know about him though. I haven't looked him up either, to be honest. But anyway, so what's your initial thoughts on Star Crash from 1978?
Well, it's a Star Wars ripoff, and it's quite clear from the very first shot in the film that this is a Star Wars ripoff because you see the spaceship, the big sort of, not the Imperial cruiser, but something similar to that, flying through space, and it's like, I've seen this before. Very much Star Wars. And a lot of other influences as well, I think. I mean, I there was some, Barbarella in there, I think. Flash Gordon, the bad guy is very much sort of Ming the Merciless kind of guy. Some Ray Harryhausen influences with some stop motion effects. So yeah, it's a very derivative film.
Yeah, it's kind of like you've seen this movie many times.
It's not a good film, but I thought it was fun. So
Yeah, and I agree. So I think I say mildly because it was quite funny at times, and then more dull at other times. So that makes me say, well, it was all right. It was all right, and it was also quite short. I can't remember the minutes.
Blu-ray copies is 92 minutes. So
It's a very reasonable amount of time for this kind of movie, I think. It's also very colorful, and there's a lot to look at, and you can take it seriously, and that's a good thing, I think. So, yeah, it was fun. Moving on maybe to what it's about.
the pacing in this film is insane. Like things happen all the time, and you're not always sure why. But we have like two main characters. They are smugglers, and they're called Stella Star and Acton, I think was the other guy. And they come across a sort of life pod, I guess you can say, in space and rescue a guy from there. But the rescue guy has some sort of secrets that they need to get to the emperor and such. But then, Stella Star and Acton, they're smugglers and criminals, and they get arrested and sent to a slave planet, I think. But then Stella escapes. You've been pardoned, we're gonna take you to the emperor because the emperor wants your help. And I don't know, it got confusing after that.
Yeah, it's. I think they lost me pretty early on with the whole motivation and plot and everything. I was like, wait, why are they? Wait, why are they teaming up with the bad guys? Wait, why are they incarcerated? I don't know what's going on. I felt like that a lot, and even at one point, Stella actually outright explains what's going on to a character that comes into the movie later on. And I sat there, and when she was finished speaking those sentences, explaining the plot basically, I was like, I still don't get it. Am I stupid, or is it the movie? Because I know I can be kind of stupid when it comes to plot sometimes, but I was like, this can't just be me.
It's the movie. It's very convoluted and stuff. But the thing is that the bad guy, the sort of, I'm gonna call him Ming because he reminds me of Ming the Merciless, but it's not. His name's something else. But he has built like a planet-sized weapon. Not a Death Star, but kind of a Death Star. And apparently Stella Star, the Emperor, who previously had Stella Star arrested, now wants her to destroy this weapon, I think. Yeah, and then on the journey there, she comes across David Hasselhoff, who plays a character called Simon, which turns out to be the Emperor's son. And then they have some sort of epic space battle in the end, and it's weird.
If you were to look at Star Wars from with a telescope, and the movie is like way in the horizon, and you're trying to look at it through a telescope, and then whisper to someone else what it's about, and then that person writing down or whatever what the plot is, and that's Starcrash. It's a very strange, very complicated version of a very simple movie.
I never quite understand, because the way we are told, we are sort of told that Stellar Star is this awesome kick-ass adventurer / smuggler, but we don't actually get to see that, because almost every dangerous situation she ends up in, there's some male character that saves her.
But what are we going to do? Which is another thing. I mean, not to talk about this all over the place, but the acting is also, it just adds to the whole, she can't survive in space. I mean, listen to her. It's like she just woke up and is wondering where she is all the time.
Yeah, I actually was wanting to like put together a collage of some kind on YouTube with the best equals the worst of dialogue in this film. I really wanted to do that, but I couldn't get like a high quality video of it, and I don't have the equipment to rip my Blu-ray, so I'm still working on that, but I really want to do it. Really quotable lines in here, like I don't remember exactly what they say, but they said something like, "Look, Amazon women on horses." It's like, yeah, you don't need to say that, but okay.
Well, there's lots of stuff like that. Yeah, all the time. Acton, he's basically like a Jedi. Like my note says, like so Acton's basically God ? Because he has these sort of like colorful powers that he can do stuff with his hands, make stuff move. He can defreeze a corpse, which is kind of neat superpower. But then he also wields a lightsaber nearing the end of, as one of the climaxes in the movie. And then he dies a heroic Jedi death. He dies from a mild flesh wound.
I also forgot to mention that he can see into the future.
Yeah, which makes him totally unnecessary, because he's like always, oh, well, you'll see. No, I knew that already. So he's so, why isn't he helping if he know?
Yeah, and these powers that he has, because he has like several, we're told, or we sort of discover those at different points in the film, and it's like, oh, that was very convenient that he had this power at this point in the film.
Exactly, so convenient. He's definitely a very convenient Jedi.
Yeah, like, oh, we're in this situation, we need Acton to do something. What can he do? Well, oh, we can do this, but okay.
Wow.
We didn't know he could do that, but it works. Okay, fine.
When he's about to die from his tiny arm wound, he says, "I must obey destiny," because he's seen that he's gonna die from a mild arm wound, I guess, and he just can't fathom going against that. It's so silly. He tells Stella like, "You have faith and never give up on hope," or something silly. Obi-Wan half-assed Kenobi.
What does it even mean? I don't know.
Have faith and never give up hope. It's like basically saying the same thing twice. He was funny in all the wrong ways.
The actor was really bad also, like.
Oh yeah, let's not hate on just Stella. I mean, Acton was equally bad and less entertaining. Oh man, there's not only Amazon women, there's also cavemen on one of the planets they're visiting.
I remember now.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the problems which would have made this movie a whole lot better, is if you knew why they're going to a planet and what's on the planet. Because it's like, they're on one planet and then they're like, oh, well, this turns out to be the planet we're supposed to go to. You're like, I don't know, why did you go to this planet in the beginning? I mean, now you're on the right planet, but I don't even know what that planet's supposed to have. They're all just mushed together to one planet in my head. Mm-hmm. And it's all one beach and one cave in my head. And I think if they, if you just knew why they were on all these planets, it would have been a better movie overall, a better viewing experience overall, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't very interesting, like locations they were recording at either. It was very, very dull places, I think. And also about the Amazon women, they come across the Amazons when they crash on a planet, and the Amazon queen is supposedly working for the bad guy. But the thing is, she's so stupid because she like tells Stella the plan, and Stella didn't know the plan before, but now she does, and then she escapes, and it's like, that was a bad decision to tell Stella the plan, but okay.
But I think what the movie has going for it is, well, I guess the bad acting and the bad sets and everything kind of looks pulled together kind of quickly. I think it adds up to a certain charm. And the way they overuse the spaceship models, they're all right. But it does add to this whole Star Wars rip-off charm, which is kind of fun. And also her, well, maybe you should go by that because you said Barbarella and Stella's outfits, which is definitely an amusing ingredient into this movie as well. Why do you think you thought of Barbarella?
I think it was, well, first of all, Stella's outfits, they're very, she's very scantily clad. There's not a lot of clothes on her. And I think also the sort of role Stella has in the story, like I said, she's supposed to be kick-ass, but she's not really, because she has Acton and Simon and the robots to rescue her all the time. And it was sort of the same with Barbarella, that she's supposed to be sort of kick-ass, but she's actually kind of passive part of the story. But she has some nice outfits. She's very much eye candy, I suppose, and that's the point. So, I mean, they succeeded with that.
Yeah, yeah. I like even the names are kind of similar too. Barbarella, Stella. So I think.
And also, I need to point out there's actually a sort of sequel to this film, though it's actually also a kind of a rip-off of this film. So it's a rip-off of a rip-off. It's very meta, but it's also an Italian film. It's called Escape from Galaxy 3, and it has sort of Stella Star as a character in it, but I think they renamed her to Belle Star or something. It was weird, but they actually reuse some of the clips from Starcrash in that film.
Oh.
So yeah, even more cheaply made is Escape from Galaxy 3.
So that's a very good double feature idea then.
Yes, I did watch them as a double feature.
And still alive.
Yes.
To tell the story.
But I have to say Starcrash was the funnier of the two. The other one is pretty boring, to be honest. Yeah.
So the comic relief robot with the southern accent. I don't even know what to think about him.
I actually shipped him and Stella. I thought they had chemistry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But then she ends up with Simon, David Hasselhoff, and I was like, they have no chemistry whatsoever. Why?
Well, they barely end up. Let's be real, they barely end up. So I mean.
But it's implied that they stay together.
But she should have totally gone with the robot, because she's way more excited to meet the robot when he's healed after a really bad beating, and so and there's history there, right?
Yeah, and the robot and Stella has that scene on one of the planets. They get stranded, and the night gets really cold, and the robot is like, "Oh, hold my hand. I can help you survive." Yeah. Basically, she's gonna go into a cryogenic state of some kind, and the robot will help her do this. And it was also almost kind of romantic, because they were sort of talking about life romantic. And stuff. Yeah.
So romantic. Way more to build on than McHare Hasselhoff. We should get into the Hoff. So looking at what's your opinion on the Hoff?
Not sure why he's in it. I mean, what's his role really? He kind of, he enters the movie shortly before Acton dies, and I kind of felt like they played the same role.
Yeah.
Except Hasselhoff doesn't have any magical powers, but he's the male hero, and he does rescue Stella, which Acton also did. So I don't know.
Yeah. And they also have kind of similar hairdos, but I guess the Hoff does it better. I mean, he's got a he's got a magnificent hair in this movie, but that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was sort of fun to see a young David Hasselhoff, but I don't know. It was his character was not really necessary, other than to have Stella and end up with the prince. Which I mean, I suppose it's since this is a Star Wars ripoff, it's sort of a twist on Han Solo and Princess Leia, except the other way around. You know, Stella is Han Solo and Simon is Leia, I guess. But
that's pretty spot on, I think. But yeah, so the main bad guy. Do we have anything to say about Flash Gordon Vader?
I still don't know his plan. You know, he wanted to take over the world with a
by using these imaginary monster things.
Yeah, I didn't get those. Okay, so there are sort of monsters. His henchmen of some kind that attacks Stella and Acton and Simon, but they are imaginary. Like they're only there because they imagine them to be. I didn't understand that at all. It was weird.
No, and Acton. I won't even get into that because if I'll try to describe what I'm thinking, it's gonna turn out like the movie and make no sense.
Also, well, this is not about the bad guy per se, but in the end, the Emperor, right? He comes to sort of rescue them, so it's not actually Stella or Simon or Acton that saves the day. It's the Emperor because he has this Starcrash project or whatever they call it, and that's what saves the day.
Why did he go there?
I don't know. I don't know. But I remember he had this really silly line, which was, wait, halt the flow of time.
Yes. Oh no. Oh wait. Now I forgot because I kept when they said the Emperor throughout the movie, I was thinking of like the Emperor as in Star Wars Emperor, which tells you about how much this is like Star Wars. So I was confused a lot of the time about that. I had to like mind check myself to like no, the Emperor is the good guy. The other one is the one without a name. Okay. So yeah, well the Emperor was there because he was trying to save them or something. I don't know. Right?
Yeah, but he had sent out Stella and Acton on a mission to.
Yeah, so he didn't need to be there.
But maybe he only sent them out to find the weapon, and now that it did, he came to destroy it. But I don't know.
Okay, yeah, weird. Remember that whole time flow thing? I laughed out loud at that. I was like, what? This is silly. This is real silly.
And there was no build up for that either. Like we had no idea that they could do that. And it was like, halt the flow of time. And it was like, what?
It was like Acton power. Acton power. It's so strange. And also, it's funny because they were like, but he explained how this works. And he was like, well, every molecule will freeze inside of this green light thing. So we have like 3 minutes to run. So I was like, well, not to be nitpicky, but if it freezes every molecule, shouldn't you also be frozen in time? Or are you protected somehow? But I will say, his throne looked good. The Emperor's throne.
Yes. I actually thought not the locations where they recorded the events that happened on planets. Those were very interesting, but like the sets and the architecture for the spaceships and such, I thought those looked good, most of them. You know, the Italian are very very creative with their designs in science fiction films. So yeah, I enjoyed those parts. That's contributed a lot to my enjoyment of the film, is that I thought it looked pretty nice for the most part.
Oh yeah, definitely same here. I was sort of excited to see what Stella could make with a new bikini in the next scene every time. So I mean, And also the way I did enjoy the way when it opens, you've got this very vivid, colorful space. Well, you've got that all throughout the movie, but when it opens, it's very colorful, very neon-y and very bright, and their clothing and everything is very bright and colorful and fun. They were kind of smart with what they had, you know.
Yes.
Do we want to do a round of should this be remade? Should this be remade in 2019?
I don't know. I don't think it really needs to be, since it's basically just Star Wars, and we have Star Wars today. And I think also a lot of the charm of this film is derived from it being made in the 70s. Like, I don't think if you try to do this today on a similar budget, I don't think you would reach those levels of sort of cult status that I think Starcrash has. I don't think you could achieve that, so no, I'm inclined to say no remake on this one.
On a scale of Highlander 2 to Flash Gordon, how good would you say these outfits are?
On a scale from Highlander to Flash Gordon, I would say slightly below Barbarella.
Perfect answer.
Barbarella is slightly better, but this one is, close to that.
Close to Barbarella, yeah. Couldn't agree more.
That's the most arbitrary scale ever, but yeah.
So yeah, should we do a bang, bond, blast? Just try that out and we'll see if it's funny enough to keep in
God,
the...
yeah.
So the concept behind bang, bond, and blast is obviously fuck, marry, kill in the same order. So that's that. Bang, bond, or blast, Acton, the robot, or Stella.
Okay, so I would bang Stella, bond the robot, and blast Acton.
Yeah, I would also blast Acton because it's so well, I mean, the robot, he was a bit too cheerful. So just to mix it up a bit, I'm gonna bond with, no, wait. I'm gonna bang the robot and bond with Stella.
Mm-hmm.
She seems like a nice person, and she does know how to wear a bikini in many, many different ways. Any other closing thoughts on Starcrash? Recommendation or?
Well, if you would like sort of retro-styled sci-fi, European sci-fi style film, I think you should check it out. It is a lot of fun. It's objectively not a good film, but it is fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
I can only agree on that. It's very fun at times. It's very dull other times, but you'll have fun watching it.
So did you like this video? Do you want to hear us talk about more films in the future? Like and subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. We would love to hear from you. And yeah, we will see you again next time with some more sci-fi film, I think, this time. So be on the lookout for that. And bye-bye.